In this video, it's going to be a push-to composition session with Ableton Live, and I'm going to be introducing a brand new library from the guys that brought us those chord samples and also that dub techno library. So this is the company A Bit Deeper, and it's a collection of drum samples. So I'm going to start off by building a drum kit. I'm just going to get this set up at the moment. So I'm going to come down to drum rack and just load up an empty drum rack. I'm going to load the samples onto the pads. Let's take a look. Let's navigate to the library. I've got mine stored inside my sound library folder, and I'm just going to take a look in here. So this is a collection A Bit Deeper, and this is real deep drums. There's a whole load of samples here. I'm going to start with the kicks. These are anonymous. We don't know where they've come from, and I quite like that idea. I've got no idea what kind of a start I want to make. I might try and pick up the tempo today. Let me just go for that kick. I quite like that. I'm going to go to the next pad. There's a lovely graininess to that. I might just go with a selection of kicks. So maybe something a bit softer. You know, going for contrasts here. Okay, let me see how they feel. Just going to put the accent on. And just to let you know, I've got a limiter on my master just to make sure that I don't get any distortion on the recording. I will adjust all the levels later on. I feel like I'm missing almost like a kind of warm tone kind of kick, so I'm going to see what else we've got going on here. Obviously it's going to take ages to go through the whole lot. That's not my plan for this video at all. There's a real nice selection here. Actually, I like that. I'm after maybe more of an 808 kind of boom. These are all really nice and punchy. Yeah, maybe that. Okay, so let's get on to the next pad. Let's go and take a look at another one of these categories. So claps. Something about that clap I really like, so I'm going to use that. Yep, I like that. I like the noise at the end of that one, but maybe not for what I'm doing here. Yeah, maybe a bit of an old school kind of thin clap there. Actually, I like that. It feels pitched down. I like that. Something about that I like as well. What have we got? Yeah, good. So let's change to another folder. Let's go to the open hi-hats. Now instantly I like that. These are quite clipped, quite short open hats at the moment. They've got real nice raw quality to them. Definitely sounding usable. But at the moment I feel like I need to find a longer hat. Don't ask me why. There's a real nice graininess to that. It's a 909, but it's got this kind of raw extra texture. Sorry, let me keep going. Okay, I like that. Yeah, I like this collection, that's for sure. It reminds me actually of the sort of collection that I've been building up over the years, and there are some similarities, and so essentially you're getting a great collection of very usable sounds. Okay, onto the hi-hats now. Okay, there's something about that one I really like. I've just triggered the next row. Let me just take this up. So back onto this one, and this is where I'm orientating myself with the push 2 still. I'm still learning. Okay, so I've taken it a little bit out of where I was before with the initial matrix, the 8x8 here. And I want to just see what's going on here, just to double check for myself. Okay, so now we go up to the next row. There we go. All of these should be new. There we go. Just checking here, E2, this is what I do. So the hierarchy is that you've got your drum rack here. So you don't want to load up on here because otherwise you're going to replace the drum rack. You come instead to E2, which is this note for this pad, and then we browse. All right, that's one of my recent discoveries. So coming back onto my location, unfortunately I've had to go back to the folder, but it's fine. Let's get that closed. And I can't, but I like the sound of that one. I'm going to load that. Let's come to the next. Maybe it was that one. You see, we're deliberately looking for a contrast, short and long hi-hats. It's a very common thing to do in a house track. I don't even know what I'm going to do in terms of the style of music yet. Although I know it's going to be a kind of house kind of tempo. As I said, I want to go for something a bit different to what I usually go for. I think I've got enough closed hats there. I'm going to come out of here and take a look at the percussion folder. Okay, that's quite nice. A little kind of finger snap. That's kind of like a clap, but I like it. No, it's like a knocking kind of sound, isn't it? Well, that's a nice, almost like a rim shot. Okay, it's got a minimal kind of texture to it. Okay, maybe that's the direction I'm going to go down. Some kind of techie housey thing. Yeah, maybe this. So I seem to be leaning towards some toned percussive sounds at the moment. There are some good elements here. Maybe that will do for the moment. Let me see. Let me take this out and bring this down. Let me think about tempo. Maybe go a bit faster today. 128. I very rarely go this fast. Let's get the metronome on. And I'm going to just check my fixed length. 8 bars is a bit too long. I think I'm going to take this down to the 2 bars. That's flashing, which means it's going to record a nice 2-bar clip when I push record. Just got to choose which kick I want to start with. Okay, there's something about that one I like. Like I said, I wanted to take this a bit more kind of techie. Let's get that quantized. What grid have I got there? So 16s. Sounds cool. Let me take that metronome off. It drives me mad after a while. Okay, working nicely. Let's bring that down. Wicked. That's a great vibe already, you know. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swing that out a bit. So holding down the quantize button, increasing the swing amount here, and now pushing quantize again. Yeah, that's wicked. The one thing is though, I've got an extra hi-hat at the very beginning there. Okay, cool. I just want to adjust some of the levels here. I'm just going to push the drum rack here to expand out those samples. Let's come down the list. Let's go to these hi-hats. Okay. Just going to push solo and work out which one I want to work with. Just down a little bit. Yeah, that's good. Let me think. What else have I got? Just going to come back over here to the drum rack itself. Push that to minimize those. And let me have a look. Let's come up this row. Right, so I'm going to keep that as my basic beat. All right, so this is something that I've explained in previous video, where when you're composing, you want to basically progress your structure a little bit. It's kind of a good idea not to progress too far with your beat programming. In some respects, I've programmed too much on that first clip. It might be better to kind of strip it back and start off by just having the kick and then pushing what I'm about to do, which is duplicate. So duplicate takes a copy of the existing clip and places it down on the next scene. And so I'm going to do that now. So you can see that on the actual software. You can see there's a summary there. It says duplicated over here. So now I have an identical drum clip, but I'm going to add some new elements. All right, so let's have a look. At the moment, that's feeling that I'm going to place myself in too much of a box musically because of those tones. In some respects, maybe that's quite a good idea because it means that the other elements that I choose will be matched to that. I don't know. Let me just play with some of the other elements. Okay, I'm going to get that in. A little fill at the end. Okay, let's try that. I like that. So let's find this one. If I go to the device, that should allow me to dive in instead of having to search through that mixer. Just bring the volume down here. Yeah, wicked. I'm really happy with that beat. It's not quite the kind of deep techie kind of thing that I thought I was going to do, but you never know what's going to happen when you're composing. Okay, so if I do duplicate again, let me just recap. If we go to session, there's the first beat, second beat, and then third. Nothing new, so let's add something to this. Let's come back to notes. I wonder, repeat. Let's put the 16s on. Take accent off this time. So it's responding to velocity. Let me take the volume down. A bit too low. Okay, that's on flashing now. I've just tapped that, so it's going to repeat. Take the dry wet mix down a bit. I like that. That's filling in the gap, you know. Okay, wicked. So I'm pleased with that. Let me just quickly recap on these three. Okay, one thing that I'm feeling about that recent addition is the levels. You know, I've used the velocity to change the kind of volume there. It feels like it needs a little bit of compression overall. So I'm going to have some varying levels going through a reverb, and I'm just going to add a compressor. So just to kind of even out the level a little bit, hopefully we will get some nice kind of variation as well. So I just want to keep some of that volume fluctuation. Let's bring the threshold down. I'm going to go to RMS actually on this. Output gain down a bit. Okay, I like that. It's adding some nice texture to that, and I think that works. So what we want to do now is I'm going to add a track, and I'm going to use some other samples from the same company. Okay, so we're going to go into those, the Dub Tech kind of sound library that I looked at before, but you know, I wanted to do something on Push. You know, I did the composition session on Machine before, so I'm going to do it on Push now. So we want basically a MIDI track, and I'm gonna, well, what am I going to do? In fact, I tell you what, instead I'm going to go to Instruments. I'm going to go to Simpler. Okay, so just going to load this up. Let me just come over here and load an empty Simpler. So I'm going to browse samples again, and onto the user files where I've got this library. So it's this Dub Techno library. Let's take a look at some of these stab sounds. Maybe something about that is appealing to me. Okay, I quite like that. There's a musical tone in that bell sound from the drum programming, and this is adding a real kind of contrast to that. Let me get that in. Let me see. Yeah, I think I like that. Let me just take a look at the volume level. What I might do with this is just come over to the send effects and just feed some into the reverb. Yeah, I like that. So I'm going to keep that. So this now adds a track. I'm going to come down and I'm going to pick, well, what am I going to do? Actually, do you know what? I am going to go for the same thing again. So for a simpler, and going to browse. Let's see what else we've got in that library. So back onto the user files. This is one thing that I'd like to say to the Ableton developers and anybody else involved. I want to know how I can go back to the same position I was in the library. So, you know, I was in a position in the library when I loaded the sample into the previous simpler, but now I've created a brand new simpler. I'd like to stay in the same folder. It'd be really good to find out how I can do that. So back onto these chord stabs. Maybe I quite like that. Let's see what happens. Okay, wicked. It goes at the end there really nicely. So if I duplicate, I'm going to record on here. Okay, now, so I'm going to go to one shot on here. So it's going to play in, it's got that nice reverb space in there. I'm wondering, is this one warped? Because if it is, I don't want it to be. I'm taking that off. Okay, this is good. Bring the volume up. I like it. Okay, what am I going to do next? I'm not going to add a device, I'm going to add a track. Let's come down. I think it's going to be another simpler. And this time, maybe it's time to look at a bass sample. So back into the same library again. So a bit deeper, dub techno library, bass hit. Okay, now I like both of those textures. I'm going to load this one. I wonder if I can fit both in. Let's see. Let's duplicate again. So a new row. Just need to turn this one up a bit. Oh, just not going to use the gain, I'm just going to use the volume. Now listening to the chords, there is a bass note in there. It's kind of like that, isn't it? But I don't know if I want to follow that. So I might just do that and then add another bass sound to do something complementary. Yeah, okay, so another track and instruments. There's probably a better workflow here of duplicating the existing track, but I haven't worked out how to do that just yet. If anybody does know, give me, tell me what the instructions are for that. That'd be fantastic. So simpler, and there was that other bass sound, wasn't there, that I actually liked the sound of. So let's come back and over here. That's the one. Yeah, there's a lot going for both of those. Real nice, warm, simple bass patch. Let me just pick out the right note here. And what do I want to do with this? I want to bring the level up, so just go to global again. Okay, I like that. I think that's working quite nicely. So I've got two bass sounds, each doing their own thing. Let's get a new row, a new scene, and add track. I feel I need something to fill out that kind of high frequency space musically. So if I go to, okay, instruments again. Look, this is pretty much a stable thing here. If I'm using a sample library, using a sampler makes perfect sense, doesn't it? So if we go back to, let me think, what have we got? Pads. Just going along the rows here. Or should I say columns? I was just thinking to myself, I need to come down the rows. Oh, actually, that's a good sound. I don't know if that's going to work. Let me bring that in. Do you know what? I like that, but I think it needs to have really quite a delicate place in the track. Let me just do something here. Classic's cool, but I want to take the warping off. Okay, I like that. I'm going to do that as a sustain thing, but I'm probably going to thin it out with the EQ. What I like about that is it creates sustained tension, and I'm going to add a device after this, and this is going to be audio effects. Just going to get in there and just for simplicity use the DJ EQ3 and take those lows off. The low frequency is 250 here. Let's take about 178, should be fine. Try thinning it out. Okay, I like that. Let's duplicate that scene, something new, add a track. Let's come down and let me think, what do I want to do now? Let me go, let's keep this moving. Let's go and get another sampled sound of some kind and get it loaded up. Let me come back onto notes, back into the same library again. So, you know, what I've done is I've alternated between the a bit deeper drum sample library and also this dub techno library. Okay, they're both covering different aspects. Pads. Now that's a really interesting texture. I wonder if that's going to suit. Okay, now things are a little bit too crowded. There's a lot of stuff going on. So what I'm going to do is on this scene, I'm going to come into the software and I'm going to take off that pad. Let's have a listen. It's a wrong choice of sound. Okay, so back onto simpler. I'm going to replace that. Okay, let's try that one. Oh, did I just replace something by mistake? I think I did. I'm going to do an undo on here. And I think it's because I switched onto that pad, wasn't it? Yeah, look, let me just check that's still there. So still a little couple of things that I'm learning about push. This is the one that I want to replace. I'm on the simpler. Let's come back. I've forgotten the number of the one that I just found. Okay, look, I'm going to go with that one. Let me just get a reference point on here. Okay, so look, I realise I've got limited time, and I'm sure you guys would love to see me keep going with this one. But what you've got to bear in mind is whenever I do these videos, that the longer they are, the longer they take to render, and I've got to factor in the whole kind of upload time as well. So in terms of a demonstration of that library, I think this video has achieved that. And also it's shown you a little bit about my composition process that I mentioned before with Push, which is to go from clips, building up the complexity of each kind of section of a song or track, and then switching between these scenes to create the structure. And we would, of course, record all of that into the arrangement view and then get things finalized. So that's it. Another great library from A Bit Deeper. And, you know, I'm definitely a big fan of their sounds. You've seen that so far. I'll put some links down below so you can go and check those libraries out for yourselves. And that's about it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below.